Hello, everybody. Welcome to, I think we're on 7 days and counting as we count down to our remaining What the WTF days. I'm taking my time because I don't trust the connection to not time out. And I've been doing double introductions all week. Hi, everyone. How are you? Welcome if you're new. This is the 30-day series entitled What the WTF, where we are exploring what the WTF. We are uh, leaning into the unknown, leaning into the chaos, leaning into the new, leaning away from the history, pivoting away from the regurgitation and repetition and resurrection of a resuscitation of our history of those old limited identities of just that stuff that we don't need anymore, that doesn't serve us anymore. I love that Eckhart Tolle quote that says, suffering is necessary until you realize that it's not. One of my guiding principles that I live by, is that there's nowhere written on any document of any kind, anywhere in all of creation, that to be a human means you have to slog and suffer. That's just not what we were built for. So challenge all of that, y'all, right? Challenge all of it. And I think that really, more and more what I keep coming back to is this idea of self-healing and self-liberating and um, I don't know, managing maybe is the word I'm looking for, but self-parenting perhaps. I know for many of us, like reparenting is a huge part of this journey. But I think it's really important that we lean into the fact that we are magical beings and that we have very real influence and impact on our external reality. We are just that powerful. And so I think that really so much of what I hope comes of this, because, I've had um, thoughts, I've had my experience with this series, I've had my own, dancing with, all sorts of aspects of self. And I think really for me, what it always comes down to is I want to know how to do it for myself. I want to know how to do it in my own way. Certainly, other people are going to have suggestions or recommendations, or what's that? Oh, that's the plant. My plant is going crazy and wants to be in the video today, I guess. This idea of doing it for yourself. Like, I think for me as a child, part of my incessant need to know was I just wanted to understand. Also, with the abilities and the gifts that I have and that I was, that came in sort of turned on, so to speak, I could always tell when someone was not telling the truth, whether it was conscious, unconscious, they weren't aware, whatever. I could just always tell. And I seldom was paying attention to the words that people were saying. I was really tapped into the feeling and the energy and the vibe behind the words, around the words, within the words. And I think my desire to know was often motivated by just a curiosity about why would you lie? Like, why would you say, and this was as a child, right? I just didn't know. I was very precocious. Like, why would you say something that you don't mean? That's why I got kicked out of Sunday school, because I asked questions like, if God is love, then why would God condemn you to hell? It didn't make sense to me. They asked me to not come back or to ask fewer questions. So, ooh, awesome, Kenny. That's awesome. So I think that, my point here is it's interesting and a bit ironic because lately what I'm talking about is lean into the unknown. It's okay not to know. You don't have to know how or when or who or what or why. It just none of that really is necessarily even under your control. These days I say, hey, that's spirit's job. I have my dreams, my desires, my goals, and I certainly point myself in the direction of them. And I also leave a whole lot of room for the unexpected and unknown. And at the same time, my desire to know, I think, was really rooted in the fact that I came here to be of service, right? I volunteered to come to this moment in reality so that I could be a part of this experience of the reawakening of humanity on a global scale while we're still in the body, by the way. And so I think that that was part of it. Like, there was just this thing in me that was like, "Why are you lying? There's no reason to lie." Like, or I wanna know what your reasons are, and maybe I can help you. I think that was sort of at the foundation of it all. But this idea of self-healing and this idea of self-liberating, I think that that is so much a huge part of it. And, I've been talking about this, like, if it's your life, it's your path, it's your experience, it's your arc of destiny. And so it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else, and it doesn't have to be logical or rational according to other people's viewpoints and perspectives and beliefs, and that it really is about remembering how to do it in your way. I was talking with a friend yesterday. I said, I think part of what has really gone down for me since the eclipse is I have just been really leaning into my natural state of being. I am by nature a very, very joyful being. I love to laugh. I love to make fun of things. I love, not at people, not at the expense of someone's feelings or their well being, but laugh, make light of things, bring levity, find the angle that, we can use humor or understanding, or, I'm always looking for this higher state. That's just how I'm wired as a being. And for a long time, I spent a lot of energy and a lot of resources trying to minimize my naturally joyous state, trying to clip my wings, trying to smooth off the rough edges, or soften the parts that perhaps people thought were too intense. And all of that was in service of other people's comfort. I learned really, really early that if I wanted to belong, right, if I wanted to be in the group, I had to assimilate. I had to fit in. I had to join the herd, which is impossible for me to do. Trust me, I have tried everything to assimilate, and it's just not for me. It's not, and it's honestly not what I want. It's what the wounded self wanted. It's what the traumatized self wanted. But the true nature of self and of my being does not want that. Does not see assimilation as necessary, or even like, why? Why would you do that? So I think at some point we just decide, like, this is who I am, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to do. And I've been saying to spirit over and over, it's not, I want to do things joyfully. I want to learn through the upward spiral. I'm ready to learn through the expression of joy and excitement and fulfillment and creative challenge and creative opportunity and partnership and collaboration and interdependent relationships. And I think that what is really, really important is that we remember that we bring ourselves to this point. I was talking with a client yesterday. I've been working with her off and on for several months. We've been doing sort of an extended arc of working together. And she just kept saying, thank you so much. Thank you so much. You did so much. You did so much. Like, she's really at this point now where she's ready to kind of return to her life in the way that she wants to return to her life. And I just kept saying, like, I didn't do anything. And that's not me playing false humility. I know my medicine is powerful and real, but I'm not doing the work. Sure, I can offer the feedback, I can offer the insight, I can point to the door, I can, give the example, I can give the messages, whatever, 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 but I am not the one doing the work. It was so important to me that she really understood that you brought yourself here. Yeah, okay, I'm a guide, but the best guides don't do the climb for you. They say, hey, up here, take a left. It's going to be really, really steep for the first 10 minutes, and then it's going to level out. And then you're going to take a right, and it's going to be really steep again, right? So, what overjoys me and what really lights me up and why I do this in the first place is because to witness someone realizing their power, to witness someone realizing their authority, to witness someone realize where they've been standing in their own way, to witness someone realize, like, oh, I can do that. Like, I don't need permission or an invitation. Like, I am invited by being in this body. Spirit has said, I want you in the game. So I'm giving you a body and a soul and a timeline and a team and helpers and all of that. So Spirit has said, I want you here. So who else's approval or permission do I need? And that's why I do it, is to see people come to that point of realization of, like, oh, I really can do what I want. I really can live according to my own values and my own systems of information and belief and my own goals and desires and dreams. I can do that. And all of the time, not all of the time, but often, people want to know, but Amar, how did you do it? Because I talk about this a lot, how I healed my PTSD, how I have really, really unraveled these habits of overthinking, how I have remembered how to find safety and stability within my own body and within my own field, how I can renegotiate my relationship with self on on all levels and really bring it to a place of like, oh, I am the one in command. I am the one who's driving the bus. And yesterday, there was a moment, and I want to share this moment with you because it was just a slice of what I'm talking about when I talk about your self healing and your self liberation and your self work. And yes, it is important to have other people on the journey with you, right? Because sometimes we need to be shown, sometimes we need to be reminded, sometimes seeing another model of how someone else has done it opens the crack a little bit, right? It creates a little bit of a crack in the illusion where we can go, oh, I can see my way in there. So yesterday it was really, really windy. Springtime in the Rocky Mountains is like wind city, and I fucking hate the wind. Control issue, another story for another time. But yesterday it was really, really windy. And in one of the back, my sister has a little yard off the side for the dogs, and she's got a little patio there, and she has this sail, right? It's a fabric thing that's attached to two poles, and it's, set to minimize the sun because it's on the south side of the house and it gets sun all day long. Well, the sail also catches the wind. So when it's really windy out and we forget to take the sail down, it starts flailing and flopping, and it stresses me out so much. It just creates major anxiety for me. It activates all sorts of stuff. So I was in the kitchen, I was making lunch, and I was just doing my thing, and I was just aware of like, I'm so anxious. Why am I so anxious? And then I tuned in and I was like, oh, right, the wind. Okay. The wind makes me anxious. But then I was like, okay, what is this anxiety really about? And then I realized like the sail is whipping around like crazy. So I was looking at it, and I was like, should I go out there? Because it's kind of also a job for one person to do. Like usually two people have to take the sail down, especially when it's really windy, because the way the structure is set up, it's too wide to hang on to both parts. So you have to hang on to one corner and then you get whipped around, and it's quite an ordeal. So yesterday, oh my God, the leaf blowers and the wind are like activators numero uno and dos. Actually, they're tied for first place. So anyway, I was standing there and I found myself paralyzed. And I was like, oh, okay, opportunity. So I just watched myself in paralysis. And I cued into, okay, what is happening in the mental narration right now? Like, what dialogue is happening? And it was just panic, 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 panic. And then it was like trying to make other people to blame for my anxiety and my uncertainty, right? Oh, my fucking sister, she should have taken it down. Oh, my fucking brother-in-law, why didn't he do it? Oh, why didn't I do it? Like everyone, the first step of this narration is to find somebody to be accountable and responsible for my anxiety. It can't possibly be me or anything that I did. So I'm just watching this. Wow. Okay. Wow. This is really creating a lot of havoc inside my system. Wow. Look at the waters. They are so turbulent and choppy. I was like, okay, what do I want to do here? Okay. I want to take the sail down. Remind myself, okay, I've taken the sail down before by myself in conditions that were windier than this, and it's been just fine. I can do this. So watching this part of me that was like, I'm so anxious, I can't do it. I'm afraid. It's so powerful, and I'm not. And it's so much stronger than I am. And what if I get hurt? And what if something happens to one of the dogs? It was just this constant, just mess of anxiety and thoughts and hyper like activated state. So I was just watching. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I went out into the backyard and I got the one corner of the sail off. And then as I walked over to the other side, I realized, oh shit, the wind is too strong. I can't stretch it. Then the anxiety came back and it was like, oh my God, everyone in the neighborhood is watching you right now. They're laughing at you. They're staring at their windows and they're watching you. And I was like, wow, okay, just watching this voice of anxiety and panic and fear. Wow, it is really triggered. So I let go of the corner. I said, Spirit, Jesus, be a break in the wind. You got to give me a moment here. I'm letting go of this corner, and I trust you are not going to harm me by letting this thing whip around and whap me in the face or something, because there's these really heavy metal rings on the end of it, right? So I let go of it. I walked around. The wind, like miraculously, for a moment stopped, and I was able to unhook the other thing, and I got it all wrapped up, and it was done. And it just was this moment of holy shit, like just watching myself. And like I've been saying, not taking the bait, not taking my own bait, not letting the panic monster be the one that hops in the driver's seat. And afterwards, as I was sitting in the kitchen having my lunch very peacefully now, because the sound of the sale is not creating anxiety. I can see out there that it's all wrapped up and it's secure. Little bit of wind, that was fine. I can handle that. But it was just this moment of like, wow, I just watched myself go into this full blown panic mode, or like pre panic mode. I watched myself activate this story that everyone was laughing at me and, having a joke at my expense, which was just another attempt for the mind to try to get me to hide, right? All of the horror stories that the mind was saying, oh, that sale is going to whip around, it's going to hit you in the face, it's going to knock something over, it's going to break something, it's going to hurt one of the dogs, it's going to break a window, like all sorts of just throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like the mind was just like, I got to do something to keep you safe. So I was just watching. I was just watching. And I came back in and I sat and I continued to watch. And I pulled my little anxiety monster close and I was like, see, baby, it's fine. I share this as an example of not only the fact that doing your inner work doesn't mean you're never going to have a bad day again. Doing your inner work doesn't mean you're never going to have a moment of anxiety or fear or doubt or insecurity or whatever. Again, it just means now you know how to deal with it. Doing your inner work gives you a map of sorts to all of the different layers and all of the different topographies in your inner landscape. It shows you where all of your inner selves live, right? Your fear monster, your Judge Judy, your cheerleader, those are all the names that I have for my aspects. But to be there in that moment and say, yes, I see you, fear. I see you, anxiety. I hear you. I'm not ignoring you. I'm not denying you. I just am not believing you. I believed you for a moment and I found myself paralyzed. And then I realized what had happened and I was able to pull myself out of it by going into observer mode and just watching myself. So doing your inner work doesn't mean you're never going to have a bad day. Doing your inner work doesn't mean you're never going to be off kilter or off balance. Doing your inner work means you know how to deal with it when those states occur. Doing your inner work means you know how to find your center again on your own to self-manage and self-regulate. Doing your inner work means you understand yourself to the degree that you can tell what is authentically you and what is just a program of defense or survival. So I want you to understand that if you see me as some sort of authority or a guide or a leader or a teacher or someone who you aspire to be like or understand or whatever, I don't know, something about me obviously speaks to you or you wouldn't be watching, but I want you to understand that, yeah, I have doubts and insecurities too. I absolutely have those moments of being paralyzed by nonsense. And it's okay. It's okay. It was maybe 5 minutes total. From the moment that I cued into the anxiety to the moment that I was able to take control of the wheel again and manage my experience back towards the center, 5 minutes. But to the mind, it was, I'm about to die. To the mind, it was, don't go out there. You're going to be destroyed. Like there may well have been someone in the backyard pointing a gun at my face. Like that's the level of anxiety and fear that was active. And I just watched it. So this is what I mean when I say, don't believe everything you think. This is what I mean when I say, when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That's why meditation and inner work and moments of silence and stillness and connection to yourself are so crucial. Because Just like a performer rehearses and an athlete practices, so that by the time we get to opening night or game day, I already know what it feels like when I'm in the zone. I already know how to do this inside, outside, backwards, and forwards. I already know how to find my center and stay there. So that by the time it's the real, and something's really at stake, I know what the truth feels like. I know how to manage and regulate myself. I know how to walk through the illusory minefield of my mind and its scare tactics. I know it's just doing what it thinks is going to keep me safe. And I also know that it is totally and completely full of shit. And that's okay. I'm not trying to change it or stop it or force it to be anything else. I'm just aware of what it is. Right? So, yeah, okay, there you are. Hey, fear monster. Hey, panic attack. Hey, what's going on, girl? Hey, false belief. Hey, illusion. Hey, bullshit. How are you? And then you just keep going. So, this is why it is so important that you find your center, you find yourself, and you know how to do so when you realize that you have vacated it. As here's the thing, nothing pulls you out of your center without your permission. And fear is permission. When you believe the fear voice more than you believe your authentic voice, you're giving yourself permission to go into fear mode. Fear cannot happen in the center. When you are centered in yourself, you are connected to all that is. You're connected to all that is anyway, but when you're in your center, you are consciously and deliberately connected to all that is. You're remembering what you are and you're not going to leave. So, we choose to leave our center. We choose to be triggered. We choose to be upset and knocked out of balance. And the way that we choose that is by not doing our work to understand that. So that gets a little bit tricky, right? Choice sometimes manifests itself as the thing we just haven't been paying attention to. Choice manifests itself as, on some level, willfully denying like half of my experience. And then when I need that information and I don't have it, oh, well, someone else is to blame. Fuck this, fuck God, fuck the angels, fuck the president, fuck whoever. No, girl, you're the one who has access to the information. You just haven't remembered that yet. Your lack of willingness to educate and inform yourself about who and what you really are is a choice. And what happens to one who does not know the truth of what they are, they perceive as life happening to them. They perceive themselves as a professional victim. They perceive themselves as always having to be on the defense. That's a choice. It's a tricky choice. It's not one that most people will clue into right away. And even if you're trying to explain it to them that, no, girl, they didn't upset you, you upset you. You chose to take what they said personally. You chose to believe that what they said was true. You chose to invest more in their opinion of you than your opinion of you. So, yeah, girl, you upset yourself. You did. You did. You vacated your center. You triggered yourself. You ran in panic. And I understand why. Especially in the beginning. We were never taught that our emotions do not have to control us. We were never taught that it's okay and well within our right and our purview, and I would say our responsibility to question our thoughts, especially ones that feel incongruent with what and who we know ourselves to be at the core level. That's your responsibility. And certainly I can say, oh, go read this book. Hey, watch this video. Go do that thing. I can point you to the things that I believe may assist you and support you. And I can even walk beside you. Right? That's my mentorship program. What I say is sometimes I'm walking behind you and I'm pushing you up the hill. Sometimes I'm walking beside you and it's just a leisurely stroll. Some days I'm in front of you and I'm saying, hey, come on, it's over here. But I'm never the one doing the work. I can't. It's not my work to do. I can't walk your path, babe. So finding ways to remember the truth of who you are, that isn't always going to be your responsibility consciously, right? That's when we rely on the higher self to know that, oh, at some point the higher self is just going to be like the car that just drives through the front window of the living room and like wakes you the fuck up. So at first, right, how do you know what you don't know? You don't. But you always have these little inklings calling you, guiding you, nudging you forward, trying to activate some curiosity or sense of adventure within you, because life is here to be lived, and it's going to be lived one way or the other. And if you're not doing it, then life is going to live you. But I am living proof that you can heal yourself, that you can transform yourself, that you can rewrite your identity and mean it, that you can remember how to navigate your inner landscape of your emotions and your feelings and your energies and your thoughts and all of that. Okay, yeah, here we are. So when you're ready, this is from my book, Notes from the Higher Self by me, Amar, available on Amazon. There's one in here. Let me see if I can just find it. If Spirit will. No. Okay. Um, when you're ready to heal, nothing can stop you. And until you're ready to heal, no one can help you. It has to be a choice. This is a free will reality. Yeah. You just, okay. All right. What did I do here? What did I not do here? What could I have done differently? What else would I have liked to do? What other version of self do I wish would have been active at that time? Have fun, ask questions, be curious. Don't blame yourself. It's not about blame. It's just about, oh, I see why I did that. Oh, of course I was doing that. I just didn't know. Now you do. So I share that to remind you that 12 years ago, I had no fucking idea what I was doing when I started this practice. None. None. I had no idea what I was doing. None. I was incapacitated by fear and uncertainty. But I just knew that that was the only choice I had, that the only other choice was to continue to pretend like I hadn't just had these crazy, mind-blowing, otherworldly experiences, and knowing that if I did it one more time, that, it's like third time's a charm. And if I didn't say yes back in 2012, I'd be dead. Or I'd be so miserable, I might as well be dead, just like a zombie in a shell. So 12 years ago, I didn't know what the fuck was up. I didn't know what the WTF was going on, literally. I had zero clue. And here I am. I made it. I think of, the Office, the US Office with Michael Scott. Somehow I manage, the name of his autobiography. Somehow I got here by the grace of God, by the grace of self, by the grace of spirit, all of the angels, all of the helpers, all the guides, physical, metaphysical, non-physical, and every point in between. I made it because I showed up for myself, even when I didn't know why or how, even when I was just like, I think this is me showing up for myself. I don't know. So it's not fake it till you make it. It's just do whatever you can in the moment, even if it just feels like in that moment, like survival lifeline, just make a choice, do something. Understand that there is a larger force of which you are a part, but nonetheless, a larger force that is guiding you and leading you and directing you. And if you just unclench and let go, it will follow, it will call you forward, it will guide you forward, it will nudge you forward. And remember that the universe is like GPS, it's self-correcting. If you go left when you should have gone right, no big deal. It'll recalculate and get you back on track. But just let go. I promise you there's an easier way. I promise you there always is. Speaking from experience, as someone with the ironclad will, Mr. Know-it-all, I'm right. That was just how I walked around with that belief that I am just right. I just know. And I didn't. I didn't. But I was willing. That is the key. That is the key. And I will say this to you, and I mean this with every molecule of my beingness in all dimensions and all directions, all lifetimes, all timelines. The only two things that are required for any semblance of a successful spiritual journey or just a life that is well lived, the only two things required are your willingness and your curiosity. That's it. That's it. And you can be willing and scared. You can be willing and pissed. You can be willing and frustrated. Like, forget the fake love and light stuff. You don't have to show up faking that you're happy if you're not. Yeah, I'm fucking grumpy, spirit. I'm here, but I don't want to be, right? So it's okay to be in all of your humanness. Spirit isn't expecting you to be anything other than exactly what you are. That's why Spirit chose you to be. Because Spirit wanted exactly what you are and still does. So you just have to remember that, like, okay, like I said, intention is 99% of it. The rest is just choreography. So, okay, Spirit, I think this is how I build a practice. I think this is how I do a reading. I think this is how I meditate or whatever. I just tried. I just kind of did whatever felt like the thing and just kind of made it up sometimes. So, whatever it is, you've got it. You just have to start. You just have to try. Whatever it is, it's okay. No one gets it right the first time. And the other thing, we're all born ignorant. Raise your hand if you were born knowing how to tie your shoes, eat with a fork, and drive a car. So all of us are born ignorant. There's nothing wrong with being ignorant. It's just a state of being. Everyone is born ignorant of the humanness. So just do it. Give yourself permission. Watch yourself as you try to stop yourself. Watch yourself as you try to sabotage yourself. It's really, really fascinating. And then just do it. Just do it. Yes, words do have power. That's why they call it spelling. Images have power. That's why they call TV shows programming. Imagine that. I think that's what I have for y'all today. Love and light. So, oh wait, I want to do come on, hearts. Do your thing. There we go. Now we're going to do balloons. I think this is how you do balloons. Or no, that's confetti. I think this is balloons. There we go. There's balloons. Love and light. Here we go. Live, laugh, love. I'm just the human equivalent of a sign from TJ Maxx. Live, laugh, love. All right. I love you all. Like, share, and subscribe. All my links are in the description below. Instagram, if you want to follow me there. Booking calendar, if you want to book a session. Link to Amazon, if you want to buy my book. PayPal and Stripe, if you want to send some financial love. Good. I'm glad I got you all laughing, because as long as we can laugh, then we're halfway there. We're halfway there. Love you. Everyone have a fabulous day. I'll see you tomorrow. 6 more and counting. Love and light. See you guys later.